Happy New Year, everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, January 4th, 2015. I hope that you all had a wonderful New Year. I really enjoyed the show this week. I think I enjoyed the New Year's episodes even more than I did the Christmas episodes. I guess it's because Christmas is always a little bit hectic and I'm running around and, doing family stuff and cooking and all that, and I don't really get a chance to just relax. And with New Year, I felt it's just New Year's is a time to sit back and relax and reflect and think ahead, and I actually had time to really sit down and soak in Y&R. A lot of the times I'm blowing through the episodes trying to get everything done, but this week I really kind of marinated in it and enjoyed it so much. It was romantic and it was exciting and it was beautifully styled, and I thought it was a good week for the show. I told myself, okay, we're gonna have to start out Y&R chat talking about the New Year's stuff. Allie, you do nothing but talk about Adam. Like, even back before the character went off for a year, I felt like I'm always leading off Y&R chat with talk about Adam, and I told myself I can't do it this week. I gotta make it about New Year's, but I think I'm breaking my resolution right off the bat because Adam's story is the story that intrigues me. It's the story that sparks lots of different emotions in me, and I can't help wanting to talk about it right away, not just from the storyline perspective, but from an emotional perspective. And I've been really hard on Adam. It was, he was one of my favorite characters on the show. He went away for so long, they've brought him back, and I've been having trouble connecting with the character. And I've been thinking about it a lot this week. Why, I've been hard on Adam. I'm watching the show all week, I'm looking at his actions, I'm looking at the way he's pressuring Jack. I've looked for the past several weeks about how he treats Constance, how he treats Sage. He's a jerk, and I'm asking myself, why is it that I am struggling to accept that part of his personality now when I had absolutely no problem accepting it a year ago? And I've gotten a lot of comments over the past couple weeks about it, and I think there's a lot of people on all sides of the fence. I really think that I've come to the conclusion this week that the disconnect with the Adam storyline for me, it's not really about the actor. I think the actor is doing a great job. I don't think it's really about the character. I think Y&R's maybe left us with a bit of a gap here. It was a year since we've seen the character of Adam, and I think Y&R was probably under some level of pressure to recast the role with the right type of guy, and I think they did that. I accept Justin Hartley as Adam, but I kind of think maybe the writers or the direction or however the show is molded, I think maybe they have focused a little too much on making the cold, hard part of Adam that Michael Mooney was kind of famous for, and that the character became famous for, that hard edge. And I think Y&R has tried so hard to sell us on that dominant part of Adam's personality that we haven't really got a lot of the tenderness underneath the character. There were only flecks of moments that I started to see this week when Adam had his first real kind of conversation getting to know Chelsea again after this year of being gone. I started to see little pokes of light coming through, but we haven't got that up until now. And I think also the issue of Delia's death is just hanging over the storyline. It was, I'm not sure how long Adam knew after. I mean, it couldn't have been maybe three months, I'm gonna say. Adam realized that he hit Delia and was kind of going through the torture and his decision to cover it up and all of that. And I was with him in that moment. I understood where he was coming from. I never ever like blamed Adam for what happened to Delia. I never felt like Adam is a murderer. He killed this little girl. I always accepted that Billy played a role of responsibility in what happened to her. And I always accepted that it was an accident. I think where my issue with Adam, if I had any, was that he tried to cover it up. There's just no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse for not coming forward. And although I felt that way about Adam, I was kind of with him on the journey. He had decided a year ago that he could not take his conscience could not take it anymore. He had to tell the truth, damn the consequences. He was willing to sacrifice himself for his family, for Billy's family, and turn himself in and accept responsibility for what happened, whatever it may be, right, wrong, whatever the responsibility was. And then the storyline just dropped. It was just gone. The Billy and Adam thing happened with the big explosion car, and then it was just gone for a year. And now we're picking back up on Adam kind of being this jerkish guy that he has been and he's sort of famous for being. And I lost the Delia story. You know, it didn't come back with Adam, and so it's causing me to have this negative reaction to him. And I really think that's it. I think Y&R made the mistake of giving us bold, brash, maybe a little bit dirty and underhanded Adam, but didn't give us the guilt. Didn't show us the remorse that he's been feeling. We've seen him bandaged. We've seen him at the dusty old mansion, but we haven't really seen that torture that was clearly there before he left. So now, as I'm watching everything he's doing, it's just coming off as selfish, and I'm mad at him, and I don't feel wrong in that reaction. Again, I don't think it's the actor. I think it's sort of maybe the way the story has been crafted. I can't connect with him. I'm watching Adam reveal himself to Jack, and this really actually beautiful relationship that Adam and Jack have had, and I'm watching Adam now kind of trample on it because he wants what he wants, and it feels negative. Adam is putting Jack in this really awkward position, and he doesn't care. I mean, Adam is showing me currently, in this current incarnation of himself, sort of irrespective in a way of everything prior to the recast, he's showing himself as being Victor Newman's son. He wants what he wants, and he doesn't care who's in the way of it. He's forcing Jack's hand, forcing Jack to lie to everyone in his family, including Billy, and I don't like the position it's put Jack in. I don't like the way it's encroached upon their friendship, and Jack rightly, I think, said to Adam this week, "You took my brother's daughter away from him, and now you're threatening to put him in prison. You're saying that if I don't keep your secret and help you incorporate yourself into life in Genoa City, then you're gonna send him to prison for shooting you." It does feel like, okay, what more do you want from the guy, Adam? I mean, I understand you want Chelsea. I get it. You want your son. That's totally understandable, but you don't just want your life back. You want Jack to help you destroy his brother's life, or help sort of ruin any newfound happiness that Billy has just found throughout the course of a horrible year. Billy's with Chelsea now, so you want Jack to help break them up so that you can take her back? It feels so selfish, and Adam is completely justifying it by saying, hey, Billy should be with Victoria anyway. Chelsea's my wife. You're gonna be doing Billy a favor. Let, Billy be with the woman that he's supposed to be with, Victoria. And Adam goes on this this line of speech about how some loves are meant to last, Jack. Yours and Phyllis's, mine and Chelsea's, Billy's and Victoria. And I think, honestly, after watching this week's show, there is a part of me that would like to see Billy and Victoria back together, but that's not the point. Adam's not doing any of this out of guilt. He's not doing any of this out of remorse. He's not doing any of this for concern for Billy or Victoria or Chelsea or Connor. He's doing it for himself. And I can accept that. I could accept that in the character of Adam if it weren't for the fact that I saw that tenderness just below the surface. I understood the character's motivation. I understood who he was. I had a sense of this is a good guy who's just had sort of a bum shake, and he's trying to do the best he can do. And I'm just not getting a sense of that right now. I want Adam to at least not try to pretend that he's doing any of this for anyone else. Just at least admit that you're doing it for you. It's the least you could do. I don't know, at this point it's kind of not about Delia. It's sort of just, what's with the lying? You were ready to come forward, you were ready to be truthful, Adam, and then now it's like you think you're just gonna lie to everyone pretending to be this other guy, which, not even to mention, I'm sorry, the whole thing with Constance is such, again, let's not pretend we're doing this for Constance, especially now with the big revelations at the end of the week. You say none of you are doing any of this for fooling this old woman for her sake. You were doing it for you. Adam took their kindness, allowed them to take him in, nurse him back to health, give him plastic, give him the plastic surgery. I mean, all of this has been for himself. It just, they were conning this old woman one way or another, whether, for good or for her bad, whatever. They were conning her. That's shady. He's coming back into town using this other guy's identity, this other guy's face, and he thinks he's gonna get all close to Chelsea and then later reveal himself, and she's just gonna go, oh yay, Adam, cool, let's get back together and ride off into the sunset. No, it's not gonna happen like that, and I just think he's kind of deluding himself. I just wish Y&R would have spent a little more time helping us get to know Adam again. I think that's the mistake that they made. I'm not gonna blame it on Adam. I'm not gonna hold it against him forever. I'm sure I'll get back into the character, but that vulnerability is what's gone. And Jack, in a moment of weakness, agrees. All right, fine, Adam. You want me to keep your secret? I will. You want me to help introduce you back into life in Genoa City? I will. But I'm going to give you one condition. Swear to me that the old Adam Newman is gone. Be the Adam Newman be the man that Adam Newman never had the chance to be. And of course, Adam says, yes, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And then he doesn't. And then he walks around, blackmailing and being deceitful. That's not kind of what Jack had in mind, I don't think. Adam's got Jack under a barrel, or over a barrel, and it's so, it's just not making me feel endeared to him. I'm kind of ready for him to get busted. I loved this week that Adam goes to the club, runs into Nick for the first time since he's been back in Genoa City, and Nick knows him. He realizes him right off the bat, and he says something, I know you, you're my brother. And Adam's like shocked for a moment, and then Nick reveals he was his brother in college. I don't know, maybe they were in a fraternity together, I suppose. Maybe Nick gave the guy a few swirlies. But more importantly, Nick kind of played it cool, then went off into the corner, looked up Gabriel Bingham from the old class photos or whatever, and realizes not only does he know him, but he's the guy who ran off in the woods after Nick got caught in the bear trap. And Nick knew someone else was there and was able to now put the pieces together that it was him. And I have everything we've seen out of Adam so far has been totally selfish. I'm having trouble getting past the fact. I mean, I'm not saying Adam didn't know that Delia was hit on the side of the road and left for dead. He didn't even know he hit her. He didn't figure it out until after the fact. Again, accident. But Adam knew that he was leaving Nick in the woods, and he was particularly fine with it just to leave him there for dead. He was like, look, don't care. Don't care. Nick could get in the way of my plans. I'm not going to let him recognize me. He could bleed to death. Whatever, I'm out. You can deal with it. That was wrong and messed up, and Nick never really did anything to Adam. At the end of the day, there was some general sibling rivalry, but that was pretty cold. Again, that's all we're seeing from Adam. None of the vulnerability. And I think it's just, it's in the writing, or it's in the development of the character. I will say that the few mild peaks of the old Adam that I really loved and connected with were present this week when it came to Chelsea and Anita. I loved Adam flirting with Anita at the coffee house. She thinks that he's some rich young guy wanting to get a little piece of her, but he's really just trying to get information about where Chelsea will be on New Year's Eve, as if there's anywhere else in town that she would be. I kind of thought maybe he was trying to get Anita to take him to the condo to see Connor or something, but he really is all about Chelsea. His focus is all on Chelsea. He's gone to the condo and snuck around and smelled Connor's blanket a little bit, but he's got his sights set on Chelsea. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, she is sort of happy. Can't you just kind of be happy for her that she's happy with Billy? Why does it, it's all about him. At the end of the day, I can't help it. I can't help it. This is just where I am in my process of dealing with Adam. I will admit, there was a little hiccup. Katie got sick, which forced Billy and Victoria to stay together for a little bit longer than they planned on New Year's Eve. Being very cute, it was their anniversary. I really like them. I'm starting to kind of feel like, ooh, I wouldn't mind if they moved back in a direction of getting back together. But it caused Chelsea to be alone at the athletic club on New Year's Eve, so Adam had a perfect opportunity to talk to her. And I will admit, I did get a hint of the old Adam when he is sort of questioning her about her relationship with Billy, and he says, oh, it's complicated. Is that why you're meeting with a man who's not your husband and you're still wearing a wedding ring? Adam zeroed in on that right away, that Chelsea still loves him, and I should just understand that he loves his wife and he wants her to know that he's alive. And but she's trying to move on. I mean, every time I get a little bit of sympathy for Adam, he ends up dashing it. He's hardcore blackmailing Jack, and I don't like it. Now Adam he's like leaning on Jack really hard, trying to get him to give him a job at Jabot, where Chelsea and Billy both work, and Adam has just taken a really kind of cool and unique friendship that he had with Jack and made it an ugly situation. Even as Constance is dying and Adam goes to visit her, there's just no sensitivity at all. Sage calls Gabriel back to the dusty old mansion to tell him Constance is dying. And she needs to see Gabriel one last time, and there's this little hint of, as Adam walks into the room, Sage is they're looking at a will, which it's clearly a will, and it looks like an old-timey will, you know, like it should have been rolled up in a safe, and maybe the parchment was a little bit brown. It was just, you know, it was just funny though, and it looked like it had some scripty font on it. It's not at all realistic. It was a TV will, but I laughed a little bit at it. But she's sort of looking at it, and Gabriel Adam comes in and says, "Oh, you've been so good to Constance. I'm sure that you guys had a wonderful New Year's Eve together, and you were probably here with her, even, you know, no matter what." And Sage said something like, "You think I'm pretty pathetic, don't you? Well, I have plans." And I thought, ooh, okay, this is getting interesting. Sage is starting to show some of her character. She wakes Constance up so that she can see Gabriel one last time, and Constance kind of wakes up, sees Gabriel, sees Sage, but then starts to die, and she begins to see this light, you know, the famous light that we all see as we pass on to the other side, and in the foreground is Gabriel's face, and he's saying, "Grandmother, come to me, I can't wait to be with you again." And Constance has this sort of realization that, oh, Gabriel's dead. If Gabriel's dead, how can he be here? And I almost wonder if the old lady kind of knew something was off with Gabriel. I guess that means Gabriel is actually dead if we saw him on the other side. I had kind of theorized that maybe he was still alive, because we do need to wrap up this Delia thing. Either are they just gonna keep hanging it on Adam? Ugh, I talk about that every week. But anyway, Constance sees Gabriel, looks, you know, into the light, comes back to Earth for a brief moment, and sees Adam as Gabriel and says, "You're not my grandson." So she kind of knows before she dies. All of this time has been, we gotta save Constance. We don't want her to know that her beloved grandson is dead. And then right at the very end, her final thought to me looked like, I've been lied to. It looked like betrayal. She looked confused and hurt, and she dies. And there is a moment where Sage is crying, and she's with Gabriel Adam, or she's with Adam, and she's saying, I hope she didn't realize, and Adam's of course trying to justify it. Yeah, the look on her face seemed like acceptance. Well, that's kind of not the vibe that I got. I kind of got the vibe that you ended up hurting her anyway. Big surprise, your lie ended up hurting her. So I don't know. I do think that Sage, I don't know. I think she's got some complexity to her. I'm actually quite excited to see where her character is going to go. I think she's got a whole lot of potential, because almost immediately after Constance dies, she's got the will out, or no, I think it was Adam who was looking at the will, realizing that Gabriel has been given pretty much all of the estate. He's now rich. I mean, Adam's now got this money to work with, and he's commenting on, "Oh, Sage, you know, you spent your whole life with her, and all you got was a pittance. She didn't really give you that much money." And Sage says, no, actually, I got half of the inheritance. Why don't you take a look down into the fine print there? And Adam flips through the will and doesn't get it, and she says, yeah, actually, half of everything that you're gonna get is mine because I'm your wife. I thought that was so cool. I was so happy. That was like the best moment of the week for me, because I think Sage really did love Constance. I mean, she's crying over her. Those seemed like real tears, but she wanted that money too, and she didn't want to get left out of the will. I don't know why I didn't guess that they were married before. I feel almost just like a fool for not figuring it out. I don't know if you guys heard that anywhere else, in any YNR rumor boards or anything like that, but I had no clue, and I felt immediately stupid, like, oh, I should have guessed it. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And I mean, to boot, to add the little cherry on the top of the cake, for me, it felt like a trump on Adam. It felt like, oh, you think you're so smart, Mr. Man. You think I'm so much lesser than you, and you're gonna kick me around, and I was just gonna be totally okay with getting a little bit of money. Well, no. Guess what? I'm your wife. Now you're gonna not only have to share the money with me, but this might get in a little bit in the way of your plans of getting Chelsea back. How you like them apples? I have been enjoying Phyllis this week. She's been just surprisingly good. I liked the little mother-daughter moment that she had with Summer just before the New Year's Eve party. It was reminiscent of the last conversation that Phyllis and Summer had before she went into the coma. I thought it was nice that Y&R brought that full circle. I never would have thought about it, but it was really cool. And then Summer leaves the Abbott mansion and Phyllis is all alone, decides to drive herself to the big party at the athletic club. And I knew, I was a little nervous because anytime you see anybody driving a car, it's not good. Not good at all. I saw Phyllis's face behind the windshield and I was like, oh, is she gonna get in an accident? Is there gonna be some kind of car accident here? Or is she gonna get hijacked? Or her car breaks down? And I just thought, oh no, is she gonna get hit on the side of the road? Something bad is gonna happen. Meanwhile, Jack is waiting for Phyllis at the athletic club and Kelly runs into him. She's hosting the whole event, or planning the whole event, and she has become quite bold. It was almost like she had a few glasses of liquid courage before the event because she got up on Jack and she was like, what's the matter, Jack? Does it make you uncomfortable to be in the same room with me? Maybe it's because you're still in love with me. Look me in the eye. Tell me that you don't still love me. And Jack is like, really uncomfortable by this. He does still love Kelly, but it's kind of clear that he made his choice. Jack's reaction to Kelly being all bold to me said, I really did have feelings for you, but unfortunately it makes me sad that it didn't work out, but I'm with Phyllis and I'm not looking back. I don't get the impression currently that Jack is still pining over Kelly. So that's in her head, which I also kind of love. And naturally, of course, I loved seeing that Phyllis didn't like die on the side of the road. She showed up at the athletic club just as Jack and Kelly are having this moment. She walks in the door only to reveal that the two women are wearing the same dress. It was really beautiful. I loved it. I loved that moment. I just never would have thought of it. I thought it was great. Of course, there's a little bit of an argument, but Jack's able to pull them apart for a moment. They get back, Kelly and Phyllis get back together a little bit later, and Phyllis just walks up to Kelly and says, hi bitch, I know you set me up. I had a full tank of gas and I ran out of gas on the side of the road. You clearly set me up so that you could have a little moment with Jack, and then you must have followed me to find out what kind of dress I was going to be wearing just to humiliate me. I again would not ever have thought of that, but now I'm kind of thinking it's true. Either Phyllis has become super paranoid, or we're starting to see a change in Kelly's character, and I think it's the latter. I think Kelly is now kind of going to become a little bit psycho, which I love. I love it so much more than her being in the corner and being the little victim. There's something now just about her being a little more fierce that I find way more appealing. I like, and I can't remember who made the point. I think maybe it was Billy. Phyllis is on to Kelly and is gonna try to bust her out, and she was trying to enlist Billy's help, and Billy said something to Phyllis like, hey, the thing is, Kelly's not a bad person. You're trying to save us all from her, but really at the end of the day, she's a good person, and that's what has you running scared. If she were a conniver, you'd know how to deal with it, but the fact that she's just a genuine person who Jack had feelings for, that's what your problem is. And I think that is very true, and it's gonna end up making Phyllis look pretty bad, but I really do think Kelly is becoming a little bit of a villainess, and I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go. I mean, the dress thing, it's like Kelly couldn't get, if Kelly did do this on purpose, she can't really get what she wants, which is Jack, but she can find probably a million other little subtle ways to screw with Phyllis, and the dress is just, it's brilliant. It's like sadistically brilliant. I absolutely love it. Phyllis was able to, she had to change before the rest of the party, so she like forces them to open up the boutique at the athletic club so that she can get a different dress, which looked so much better on her anyway. Phyllis should have been wearing the gorgeous red dress anyway. That dress that they both had on, the blue with the cutout, and it looked nude. It was like a faux nude. Ugh, that thing was hideous enough on one person. I really like Phyllis's relationship with Neil. They weren't that friendly before she fell into her coma, but for some reason now they're very friendly, and I like it. I think Neil needs someone to confide in, and he did tell Phyllis that he is starting to see things again, and she's very excited for him, and I don't know if Phyllis is gonna play an integral role in this all coming out. Maybe she's gonna bust Hillary, because Phyllis even said, I really like Hillary. Everyone in town loves Hillary, and that's gonna make it so much worse when it's revealed that she's doing what she's doing, that she's sleeping with her husband's son. Oh, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really bad when it all comes out, but also so very good. How long has this been going on? When did Neil get blind? I told myself I needed to look that up. I don't know how many months it's been, but I remember thinking, oh, this is kind of cool that he's going to be blind for a little bit, but I wasn't expecting it to drag on this long, but we're getting major hints that it's going to come out soon. I thought that was the only forward momentum in the storyline, but I think it was interesting this week that Neil and Hillary had a moment alone where he suggests that they begin starting a family together, and maybe she should go off of birth control now, so that, I mean, she's still sleeping with him. She gets all up in a bunch about Devontae and Gwen, and she is still sleeping with Neil. She cannot just be dodging him. So she is sleeping with them both regularly. That's pretty, I mean, she's got to be just gritting her teeth and getting through sex with Neil. Oh, that's humiliating for Neil. Oh, gosh. So she is totally regularly sleeping with them both. Neil suggests that they should start a family and she should just throw away her birth control pills. Wonderful, beautiful moment where she agrees to Neil's face, and because he's blind, she walks over into the background, grabs her birth control pills, takes the pills in one hand and the case in the other, tosses the case into the garbage can, making Neil think, of course, that she's going off the pill, but really she's keeping those pills. Oh God, what a fool! What a fool! I don't know if she's gonna end up pregnant now. I'm not sure. Okay, so I mean, it's Neil. It's all coming to a head. Neil's sort of getting his vision back. There's the whole Weiner didn't just drop that pregnancy birth control pills seed for no reason. But I thought it was interesting as well that at the one of the New Year's Eve parties, Devon and Gwen were together, and Abby was circulating and saying to Gwen about her past relationship with Devon, and yes, they're friends, and Abby let slip that Devon was pining over someone who was married, and Gwen heard it. And now Gwen's up in all of their family gatherings. She's getting the stank eye from Hillary every time she walks in the room. So I'm wondering if Gwen is going to be the one to figure it out. It's really quite obvious. You would, given even just the little bit of information that Gwen, an outsider, knows, she should be able to figure it out. I mean, she got hired to be Devon's date, and then hearing that by Hillary, and then hearing that he's in love with a married woman. If she's got even half a brain, and she's gonna figure this out, which I also sort of hope she does and confronts Devon. I'd like to see that, but I don't know if Gwen's gonna figure it out before Neil gets his vision back and figures it out, because at the New Year's event, Neil is looking down. It's so cheesy. Neil's looking down at Hillary's cell phone. She's gotten a text message from Devon that says, "I love you," and Neil's focusing on it. He can sort of see the light in the cell phone. phone, and I mean, it's which is just totally cliche. They've been having this affair totally out in the open. And they do all kinds of little things together that they're taking advantage of the fact that Neil just can't see. I mean, anybody with actual eyes could see what's happening. And not only that, but after the text message thing happened, they're back at the apartment, and Neil sees Devon and Hillary there, and they're talking about the little ring that he gave her last week, and he sees them. Neil's starting to put together figures and shapes, so he almost sees the text message. He almost sees them together. I am wondering what part of the storyline is going to blow up first. Is Neil going to see them together, realize that they're having an affair, or is she going to end up pregnant with Neil's baby and he's going to think that it's his? Well, shoot, I meant, is she going to end up pregnant with, I don't know, Devon's or Neil's baby, and Neil's going to end up assuming that it's his? I'm not sure. Also, at the Winters family gathering, there was a nice little moment between Lily and Kane, and Kane does admit to Lily that he is wanting to get back in the business game. He is feeling like he has unfinished business at Chancellor. The whole Bonaventure thing has left Newman in a weakened position, and Chancellor Industries is struggling a little bit as well. And Kane believes fully that he should be at the company to get it back on track. I'm kind of assuming that, well, I'll get to my theory at the end, but more importantly, I guess from a relationship standpoint, this is Kane finally saying this to Lily after weeks and weeks, and Lily gives him his blessing, and I think she's trying to be accepting of her husband and what he wants, even if it's contrary to what she wants, which, by the way, is what a relationship should be. You should be willing to put the other person's needs above your own, Adam. Sorry, I can't let it go. It's just in my mind. It's rattling around in my skull. But I thought it was very selfless of Lily to say, all right, you know, if that's what you want, then I want you to do that. Even though she knows she would so much rather have her husband working with her, and she loves their life exactly as it is, and she gave that of herself. And I thought that was significant. Now, on the other side here, Jill is wanting Chancellor Industries back too. She's telling the same thing to Colin. I want to get that company back. I'm wondering why Catherine bequeathed it to Victor in the first place, which, by the way, Allie's has been wondering that too. I thought it was always weird that Catherine left the company to Victor. I don't know why she wouldn't have left it to Jill or Kane or something. It just never really made any sense to me. I was always puzzled by that. But Jill is talking to Colin about how maybe that was a test of Catherine's. Maybe she wanted me to get the company back if I could earn it, if I could get it out from Victor's clutches. So together, Jill and Colin decide to stage a coup, which again I think is gonna be beautiful, a revolution, if you might say. But I'm kind of wondering if Kane is gonna go to Victor and request a job, which is gonna get him on the inside of Chancellor at Newman Enterprises, and then maybe he's gonna work with Kane to peel away the company. Gloria. Her hair is bad, her clothes are bad, she's amazing, I love her. It's so nice to see her back on the scene this past week. Michael is pushing himself way too hard, and it's painful to watch. He seems to want to do everything to help himself except what the doctors are telling him to do, and I'm starting to be able to connect in with this storyline a little bit more. I can kind of understand it. It almost seems like something I would do. I could feel myself, or I could see myself getting a cancer diagnosis and then trying to find alternative ways, like anything except the things that are gonna weaken you, the chemo, the radiation, all the medicines, and not wanting that to become your life, wanting to find some way to control the situation. I think that's at the core what Michael is wanting to do. He's a guy who likes order. he likes being able to control his world. I mean, who doesn't? And I think he's trying to find a way to do this himself without asking for help. And it really is hard to watch. He goes for a run in the park with Kevin, believing that if he becomes more physically fit, then he will have a stronger chance of beating the cancer. And he's going through these other things, like he wants to visualize getting better, and hoping that's going to help him overcome as well. It is really hard. He ends up overdoing it, pushing himself too much, and hurting his ankle. He ends up in the hospital. Lauren and Gloria and Jill are having lunch when Lauren gets the call, or actually it was just Lauren and Gloria together, when Lauren gets the call that Michael's in the hospital. So Lauren goes to the hospital, followed by Gloria, and there's this very awkward moment in the examination room where Gloria sort of gets the sense that a bigger deal is being made of it than necessary. If Michael's just in the hospital for a hurt ankle, then why is everyone hovering over him? And Lauren was clearly very weepy and emotional about it, and Gloria has this just bomb moment where she says, well, it's not like Michael has cancer or anything. Damn, Gloria, got it in one. Way to go. I mean, and it hit into the middle of the room like a bomb. They, of course, quickly explain it away, but I felt so bad for Gloria because they're not telling her. They're consciously not telling her what's going on with her son, and I think she deserves to know. I understand that they don't want her to go all Gloria on him, but can you imagine being kept out intentionally on something like that? It's his mother. I can't imagine them. I can't imagine my son not telling me intentionally. That would hurt so much more even than the actual cancer. I think it's storyline driven. If Gloria were to find out about Michael's cancer, she'd be up Michael's butt. Figuratively, of course, every single day of his life, and I'm thinking maybe the actress doesn't have that availability, so they're maybe just for storyline reasons choosing to keep her in the dark. But I'm starting to take a little bit more out of this story than originally anticipated, because I think what we need to do here is maybe the point is to not focus on just the cancer, not to focus on the actual words, the disease. I think what Y&R is trying to do here is kind of take us on a real journey and through the emotional journey that not only someone going through cancer has, but the family as well. So I'm trying to kind of focus more on the character and the relationships here. And at the very end of the scenes, Michael and Lauren are alone in the examination room, and they're commenting on how they hope that being in a hospital is not a preview of how 2015, the new year, is going to be for them. And I'm wondering, how could it not be? There's just a part of me that feels like the current theme of Michael and Lauren and the cancer is sort of delaying the inevitable. Nikki pays a New Year's visit to Catherine's memorial plaque this week. She comments that it's been 2 years. Has it been 2 years since Catherine's been around? I find that incredibly difficult to believe. 2 years? Ugh. 2 years? No. It doesn't seem right. I'm shocked. It just doesn't really feel that long. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like just yesterday. It feels like yesterday she was there, and now she's not. But I did enjoy Nikki talking to Catherine out loud, and I appreciate too that Y&R still keeps that as part of the show. I also watched Bold and the Beautiful, and their matriarch didn't pass away in reality, but passed away on the show, and they don't weave it in as much as Y&R does. I mean, Catherine Chancellor was very much Genoa City, and Y&R has not forgotten it. And I like that Nikki had her conversation with Catherine where she talked about her alcoholism, and she felt that Catherine would be disappointed in her for having relapsed, but she assures that she's over it now. She's going to meetings, and it was a very honest conversation with Catherine and with herself, only to look in the background and Paul has overheard every single thing that she said and has now realized that she was drinking. And he is, of course, disappointed in her, worried about her, and Nikki begs him not to tell Victor, not to tell the children, even though Paul wants to. He realizes that this is something Nikki shouldn't be going through alone, but he agrees to honor her wishes because she's staying on track, and he says he is not going to tell Victor or the kids or anybody her secret. Now, out at the ranch on New Year's Day, Reed is in town and he's hanging out with Grandma and Grandpa, and Victor insists that it's time to sit down and read a book to read. So he pulls out his probably some like first edition copy of Treasure Island, and Victor sits down and begins to read the book to read. And it was sweet. You know, I'm a sucker for Victor, but at the same time, I just thought, that poor kid. I mean, every time that kid comes into town, sits down with Victor, Victor makes him do something boring. I mean, last time, I don't remember what it was. I cannot remember what it was, but it was the exact same thing last time. Victor sits the kid down and just like is talking to him, like, which is the last thing the kid wants to do. He's out on the grandest estate in all of Wisconsin, and Victor wants him to sit down and read a dusty old book with big words in it. It's so unfun. I felt bad for the poor kid, but I did laugh when he said, you know, this is a book, Treasure Island is a book about pirates, and Reed says, oh, a pirate like you? Well, I've heard Billy call you an old pirate. That did make me laugh a little bit, and it really does fit. It seems like Weiner has weaved that theme in more than once, because Lily called Victor an old pirate as well when she was talking with Kane about him wanting to get back in at Chancellor Industries, and I never thought about it before, but it is very appropriate if you think about it. Victor's kind of a pirate. That's sort of like what Newman Enterprises does. They jump on board other ships and steal their gold and then move along. I mean, right? I mean, Newman Enterprises, to the best of what I always thought, I mean, yeah, they have the cosmetic line, but that was also more about competing with Jabot. But I think they're a company that buys other companies, breaks them up, consolidates them, and that's how they make their profit, I think, right? So it's kind of appropriate, and I enjoyed it. Victor is so knee-deep in this whole development project. He's being completely dishonest about it. I think Nikki's gonna find out sooner or later. He's working with the mayor to block any efforts that Avery and Dylan are making towards saving his coffee house, and Victor just doesn't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if what he's doing, if selling the warehouse district is going to affect Dylan. It doesn't matter if it's going to affect Nikki. It just doesn't matter to him. He wants the property sold, period, and everybody else can just deal with it. That's who he is. Sound like anybody else we know? Avery and Dylan stop by the ranch to ask Nikki to pass out some flyers, which Nikki is going to put this together sooner or later. She's going to know that Victor is the one blocking it. She's going to find out, and then she's going to have a choice. As evidenced by the fact that there was a brief little moment between Nikki and Victor this week where she says to him, just make me a promise. No more lies. Always be honest with me. And Victor says, yes, I'll make you that promise if you make me that promise too. It's always the same thing. If I had just a shilling for every time Nikki and Victor have said, let's get back together. Let's get our relationship back on track. I just want you to be honest with me, though. That's the one condition, and they never are. It's the condition of their relationship is lies, 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 and secrets. And it's no exception right now. Avery and Dylan are there talking about the whole coffee house thing, and I think it just really got up under Victor's skin. Nikki asked them to stay and go sledding. They had plans to do that, and Nikki knows a great place on the ranch for them to go sledding, so she offers, them to kind of hang out for a while. Reed couldn't get up fast enough. You mentioned the word sledding, and Reed was like up out of his chair like, please, I mean, do I want to listen to an old guy read me a book, or do I want to go outside and play? And I kind of think that Victor was so pissed about the fact that Dylan came in and encroached on his plans once again. He's starting to see him as a gnat, an annoying gnat that he has to swipe away. And it's another holiday where Victor's not getting exactly what he wants. He has to kind of deal with whatever Nikki and Dylan's plans are, but I don't see what the problem is, really. Okay, you can set aside the fact that you're annoyed with Dylan about the coffee house situation, but personally, on a personal level, Dylan has never been anything but polite to Victor. He, like, even, you know, Dylan kind of sensed that maybe he wasn't exactly wanted, and he tried to be like, look, sorry, you know, my plan wasn't to hang out here, but, you know, the ladies want to go and have some fun sledding, so let's just kind of be men and nice to each other today. Let's just sort of deal with it. This is what it is. And Victor gets real cold with him and says, you don't tell me how to deal with my wife, and I won't tell you how to deal with your woman. It was so unnecessarily rude, and I don't understand it. I mean, I don't know why Dylan's even giving him the time of day. I guess when a man who's been married 12 times wants to give you advice about women, you better listen up, right? Did you guys notice that we got a new exterior shot of the ranch this week? Usually it's just Victor and Nikki's house, but this week they panned over a little bit and there was another little brick house sitting right next door on the property, and then we went right into a scene at Sharon's house. So I guess that's the little showing the relation of the houses together, which is way closer than I imagined. I mean, I realize I have this whole picture in my head that's not probably at all what other people are picturing, and it's, you know, none of it's reality. But in my head, the main house was, you know, at the center of the property, and then off in the woods, like at a little path, like many paths later, there's Nick and Sharon's house. Like, it's private. It's not right next door. And I don't know, maybe I'm just gonna go with it. I like mine better. I like my vision better. But it's mediation day between Nick and Sharon, and Nick is in Avery's office second guessing himself, wondering if he's making the right decision by pursuing full custody of Faith. He even said, I made this decision within hours of finding out what Sharon did, and I can't help but wonder if I was doing it as a reaction. And Sharon comes in just a little bit later and sort of ends up capitalizing on this newfound feeling of Nick's, or understanding of Nick's, and they have this beautiful moment where Nick decides he's gonna give a little, and Sharon is just, that's all she's ever really wanted, was to be able to settle what's going on between them civilly and out of court. And they have just a great moment, even share a hug together, and then they walk into the mediation with Sharon, her lawyer, Nick, his lawyer, and the mediator, and he says, you know what, I don't need to do this anymore. I've decided that I want to meet halfway and give Sharon, you know, have shared custody of Faith. And immediately Sharon's stupid attorney gums it all up and starts saying, whatever, partial custody, you don't even deserve that. My client deserves full custody, and just totally changes the tone of the room. Nick is now on the defensive, and it reminds him of all of the bitterness and anger that he had, and he starts arguing with the attorney. Then Sharon's tried to get the attorney to kind of like chill out, but was not successful. It just erupts into this huge argument, and of course now any chances, any hopes that we had of a peaceful resolution have been dashed. I assume we're off to court now, so prepare yourselves. I'm sure it's going to be ugly. There's so much mud to go around. It's not like they both don't have a side of the argument, but especially Nick is losing sight of the actual issue at hand. Faith. Faith is the issue, not your relationship, not your marriage, not your failed marriage. If Nick is so concerned with Faith's safety, then why even bother with custody? It dawned on me this week that, well, Sharon, if she switched the paternity test results, it is criminal. So why not pursue criminal charges against Sharon? That would take away, or that would, be a way to keep Sharon away from Faith. That would certainly do it. So yeah, maybe the reason, Nick, the main reason that you're going through this custody battle right now is because you want revenge, not justice. I was so happy to see Detective Harding back on the scene this week. I'm feeling him. I really, really am. I love the relationship Harding has with Kevin. I'm loving the relationship that he's having with Abby. They're all standing around at the underground New Year's Eve party and kind of teasing Harding about his bunny. He's kind of sexy. I know he was like a child actor on some other soap, but I didn't know him. I don't know him from Adam, so to me, he's a little seasoned. He's got a little salt pepper in his hair. He's got a real cute face. I like him. I like Detective Harding, and we need it. I think the character has some potential. He's a little bit, maybe conservative, and he's cop, and we don't have a whole lot of that. So let's have some more Harding. I thought he's good comic relief. He's a little sexy. I thought Abby's date was kind of funny. She ends up bringing like this Dutch guy, doesn't speak any English, he's just cute, just some arm candy to the party, and it's so awkward for everyone, and she's clearly not into him and annoyed by him, and this little tiffing has popped up between Harding and Abby. They're very different people. He's kind of Mr. Conservative, and Abby is Abby, and they had that meeting at the athletic club a couple weeks ago where they're talking about love and do you really know anything about it, and clearly these are two people who probably haven't really ever experienced real love, and I think Abby gets up under his skin, and I think Abby enjoys getting up under people's skin, and rather than getting upset about it as the countdown counted down on New Year's Eve, and the clock striked midnight, Harding just lays a big old kiss on her. And not only that, it wasn't even just a kiss, he kind of scooped her up and kissed her. Am I blushing? Because that's how I felt. I was like, ooh, I don't even really like Abby, but I liked that, and I totally am loving the idea of a relationship between Harding and Abby. It's shocking to me as well, but Y&R, please give me more. Please pursue this, because I think it's quirky, and it's quirky in the same way that Kevin and Mariah are quirky. I think they'd be such a cute little foursome, especially because Kevin and Harding kind of don't really get along that well, but they sort of do like each other, and then Abby and Mariah clearly have a little bit of a rivalry. It's just, I think it's a good little set of couples, and Kevin and Mariah are so resistant to their relationship, which I think there could play a similar theme with Abby and Harding. I loved, of course, that at the beginning of the night, Mariah said, don't expect a kiss. Don't expect a New Year's kiss to Kevin, which was just the signal that, of course, they're gonna kiss. And Kevin he's also kind of sexy. I was sort of feeling him this week. He's coy with Mariah. He ends up planting a big old kiss on her as the new year rings in, and then immediately after, they're both totally mortified, and they don't really know what to do, and it's awkward, and they sort of split up, and like, oh, that was weird. And it was great. It was great. I love both of these couples. I think 2015 could be the year of offbeat romances. Well, you know me, I gotta take a moment to discuss the fashion, the New Year's Eve fashion on the show. I just love looking at everyone all dressed up. I'm not even a fashionista. I don't know that much about it, but I know what I like, and I enjoy seeing people dressed up. I have to start with Ashley because it was crazy. Ashley looked like a beautiful shiny, wet, slippery, slimy mermaid in her dress. Like, it was like one shoulder teal, but it was like a gradient toward the floor, but it was sea looking, and the texture of the dress made it look wet. I don't know why or how, but all she needed was a little bit of seaweed in her hair to complete the mermaid look. It made me laugh. And by the way, I loved that Ashley had Joe as her date to the party, and it was very awkward when Avery and Dylan showed up, and Ashley pressured Joe for more information. Poor Ashley, she never gets the guy. The guy that she's interested in is always wanting somebody else, because Ashley said, hey, I remember back in New York when you said something about getting your ex back at any cost. Guess that was Avery. So Ashley's kind of wise to what's going on with him there. Speaking of Avery, I really liked her dress. It was just a black kind of top. It was like a deep V in the front, deep V in the back, and then from about the waist to the floor, waist down, was this sparkly champagne fabric. It was just beautiful. It was perfect for New Year's Eve, the champagne color. I thought she had great hair too. Her hair has been just right on lately. I don't know who's doing it, but I like her hair always. And the dress was like something I think I would have picked if I was, you know, trying to float in the high society and I was going to go to a New Year's ball. I think that's probably the dress I would have picked for myself. I would not have been able to wear it the same way that Avery wore, but I liked that one. Let's see. Now, okay, the other thing I was thinking is, at the party, at the athletic club party, Lily looked beautiful. I really loved the dress that she had. It was very drapey. And in a previous scene, prior to the New Year's Eve scene, she was giving a draped dress as well. And I'm wondering, is Crystal Khalil pregnant? Not like, I'm not saying she looked big or something. It's just more like, usually when soaps will kind of give you that draping, it's maybe to hide a baby bump. Is that it? Does anybody know? Does anybody have any more information on that? It's just, I mean, she's so thin anyway. She could wear a garbage bag and still look thin, but I just thought, are they trying to mask something? Because it was all very flowy, but very beautiful. I did not like Chelsea's dress. She's in a Chelsea Lawson original. It looked kind of, it was like short sleeve and short dress, and I think maybe it's just a cut that I don't really like, but she looked like a little girl or something. It was red, and she just looked like maybe she should have some pigtails and be running around on a playground or something. And the necklace was like big, chunky, black, brown gems. It looked like big lumps of coal hanging around her neck with a big, thick gold chain. I personally don't like any of those elements. I don't like thick gold chains. I don't like jewelry typically. I mean, I don't wear jewelry, but I like admiring it on other people. But thick, no, I don't like it. It didn't look good to me. Maybe you guys liked it. I thought Nikki and Victor looked very rich. Victor busted out the old tuxedo, and in general, all of the guys, it's hard to comment on the guys' fashion because it's always so boring. They're all just wearing suits with different colored ties. The only guy who stood out for me was Kevin. He was rocking a vest. I love a vest. It was very geeky cute. I was into it. And I thought Mariah looked really nice with him. When we bounced over to the underground party, Devon showed up with Gwen, and I thought Gwen looked super beautiful. She was like wearing this minty dress with kind of a geometric sparkly pattern on it, and every time I see Gwen, I think, why doesn't Devon just stick with her? She's awesome. She's beautiful. She's got personality. Come on, YNR, give this girl a contract. I think she has lots of potential. And she gives Hillary a run for her money, which Hillary looked beautiful too. Stunning, I will in fact say, because I liked her hair. It was kind of asymmetrical, slicked back on one side. I loved her little teardrop earrings with it. And she had this light pink dress with a kind of a tennis cut on it, but it was right. It was right. I thought she looked great. So you guys tell me let's do best and worst dressed. I guess my best dress is Avery. My worst dress has to be Chelsea, unfortunately. You guys tell me, who are your best and worst dressed for the New Year's events? I've gotten so many wonderful comments especially of course over the past couple of weeks, in part just all of the people wishing Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I really do appreciate that. I've also got a lot of people reaching out specifically about Michael's cancer storyline, and we talked a little bit last week about how it seems like, I mean, there's really nobody who hasn't been affected by cancer in one way or another. Is there anyone who doesn't at least know someone who has it? It's something that's always been a theme in my own life personally, just because I've lost several family members to it. Gary had called into my voicemail this past week and just really shared a lot, and it's so cool that I mean, and even last week I had several people talking about their experience with cancer and their families, and it's just such a nice little thing that Y&R sort of brings us together to talk about our own personal experiences. I really think the show is just this, it's just almost like something that's reflecting on the wall, like, you know, projecting on the wall, like those old movie projectors, and we're all just watching it from our different, in our different little perspectives, and bonding over what we see. And I never want to forget how much that means to me. It's been probably 7 years since I started doing Y&R Chat. It's been a long time, and I do it every week, and sometimes it's hurried and rushed, and then there are other times where I really relish the show, relish your comments, and this was one of those. I just want to take a moment to say I really appreciate that you listen and watch Y&R, and then you feel comfortable enough to talk to me, and that you care what the heck I have to say about the show, but more so that you share elements of your life with me. It's like, you know, Y&R is kind of this family, and not only, you know, beyond the show Y&R, we've kind of created a community family here, and everybody's so nice. I know there's totally negative Y&R communities out there, but everybody that seems to kind of connect in with me in Y&R Chat is so nice and so cool, and I just really appreciate you, and I want you to know that. Moving on to some comments. Gary also in his voicemails this week had made a comment that I have been thinking and haven't had a good place to put, but he mentions about the new Billy being so kind of passionate and so kind and almost passive. We saw a lot of Billy with Victoria this week and with Chelsea, and he's always smooching and just being real sweet and suave and charming, and Gary's point was that he almost can't picture this new Billy rising up to meet Adam's level. You almost can't picture this new Billy shooting Adam or harming anyone else. He's just seems like such a passive character, and I agree. I've been thinking that. It's clear that Y&R just decided we're gonna totally revamp the character of Billy. We don't care what's come before. This is new Billy. Get used to it. And I have had a hard time thinking of this guy as doing anything more, but I am starting to see just a little bit more from the actor, where I think we're gonna get something good out of him. I know a lot of people haven't connected as much with new Billy, and it's understandable, but for some reason, even though I didn't think he fit this particular character, I like the actor, and I think we're gonna see some passion out of him. I think he's a good actor, and I'm kind of excited to see a different element to him. And I think once the truth comes out about Adam, this Billy is going to be pushed to the edge, and I think it's going to give us something real and something dynamic. Bobby on Facebook left me a message that said, Kelly is well on her way to becoming the show nutcase. It'll be good to see Phyllis get a dose of what she's delivered so many times in the past. I hope Kelly goes completely mental. It's been too long since we've had a complete wacko lock someone up in their dungeon basement. Yes, I know. There was also just a tiny brief little moment at the Athletic Club New Year's event between Phyllis and Cricket, and she said, oh good, you're here. I guess that means you're not driving any cars and gonna run anybody down this New Year's, because this is, as Bobby points out, a taste of Phyllis's own medicine, and I love that Y&R turned the tables on that. Not only is it going to be exciting to see this new Kelly, which I think is where the storyline's headed, but it's also nice to see the table turned and letting Phyllis be the victim of it for a change. Danielle on YouTube says, really, Adam? You killed the man's child and now you want to send him to prison if you don't get your way? That's kind of how I feel. I know. I got a voicemail from, or not a voicemail, a website comment, which I didn't write on my sheet here, so I'm reading it off my screen, from Ellen at yrchat.com, and saying, you know, of course I don't condone Adam's cover-up of his role in Delia's accident, but it doesn't change the fact that it was an accident. He was right to fear that the whole town would turn on him. You, which I think is me, seem very willing to condemn him, even though I don't think you would do the same if it were Chloe or Kevin or Jill or Nikki or anyone but Adam who was driving the car down that dark road that horrible night. So I think we've got just a good mix of emotions on the Adam situation, which is exactly what I like. I like storylines that get people talking, and I don't need everybody to agree with me at all. I love that you guys have different ideas about the show and different interpretations about the scene. I think at the crux of it for me is I'm kind of almost willing. I wish Y&R would just wrap up the Delia death thing so I don't have to hold it against anyone. And again, I don't hold it against Adam what initially happened. I think his sin, in quotes, would be that he covered it up, that he wasn't honest with it, and then there's just this sort of time gap now that I'm having to contend with. But yeah, the new Adam just seems really, really focused on getting his way. Aaron on YouTube also said, Adam is starting to pester me this week too. I know Adam is the tortured soul and the black sheep and the social outcast of the family in the entire Genoa City, but does he have to be so rude to the only people who care about him? It's exactly the kind of vibe I'm getting. But Jennifer on YouTube says, I am loving Y&R so much these days. The stories are getting juicy. I'm loving the new Adam. He doesn't need a heart. A heart doesn't get you anywhere in Genoa City. Well said. I'm loving my Y&R. I'm loving my Y&R friends. You guys are the best. It seems like everybody I've talked to is really into the show right now, so I hope that that's how you are feeling. Leave me a comment. I need to know how you feel. If you want to go to yrchat.com, I put up a poll there every week. I put up a little caption photo there every week, and you can leave comments to me through the website, or if you prefer Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, there's all their comment boxes there as well. You can also call into my voicemail at area code 309-588-4569. There's a billion different ways to contact me, so don't be shy. That should be, how about that be your part of your Y&R New Year's resolution for 2015? Leave Allie more comments, because I know I need to get my feelings out about Y&R, so I want you guys to feel like you can too. So you can talk to me, you can talk to other people who listen to Y&R chat. Again, it's just, we're just all nice people. So feel free to interact with each other, interact with me, and I'll be back next week to chat again about our favorite show. I love you guys. Have a good one. Bye.